Hi, welcome to Jenny Mac Diesel Generator Services. So today's video is on the Firewire fuel drop cut-off valve. Basically, it is what it says. There's a weight attached to an arm, which in turn is a valve, and it's all held up by a cable. And then just there, it's gone out of focus with my finger, is what they call a fusible link. Now that melts at a known temperature, so in the event of a fire that will melt, the cable in effect will break, and then this weight will pull down and close the fuel supply to the generator. Now the important thing is it wants to be as close to source of the tank as possible, and it wants to be in steel or something that doesn't burn. Something you see quite a lot is you'll see them installed up here, and then it'll be a rubber hose down to the tank, which to be honest is useless. I mean, the rubber hose is just going to melt. But what we're checking for today, we're just going to give it an inspection, okay, and I'll show you how to give it a quick service. So first thing you want to do is you need to make sure that the weight is tensioned correctly. So there's a slot here. The weight needs to be held up at the top of that slot so that when the cable breaks, the weight will drop, pulling down on this, and that shock and the weight then pulls the arm down. Okay, so we want to inspect all the joints, make sure there's no fraying. Okay, and this one, just check it's on all the pulleys correctly and it just terminates there, and this one's all fine. Now the actual fusible link should be placed somewhere over the engine, preferably between the turbo, the exhaust and the inlet air. Usually if there's a fire that's going to break out while it's running, this is where it's going to be licking around. So this is pretty good. And that's it, this is pretty good. Make sure everything's secure and we're all fine. Now these are a serviceable item, and again this is something that gets overlooked quite regular, but they do need greasing annually, ideally. Now you buy these grease sticks specifically for these valves. You can get them, manufacturers such as Langdon Kingsway will supply you those. And if you remove this bolt here, well, it's a grease nipple, but if you remove that out and insert one of these sticks inside this shaft, put the bolt back in, and then you want to be winding this in until you see the grease splurging out of the valve itself. So here we go, you see that starting to come out now. So now we know that that valve's all lubricated. Now basically, if this screws all the way in, then that's an indication, or if it is all the way in, that it needs greasing, because you shouldn't really be able to get it all the way in, because there's a reserve of grease in there all waiting to be used. So once we've done that, again, that's not it. It gets overlooked quite a lot. If you just undo this, I find to do this it's just easier. Okay, now I've already pre-loosened that. It shouldn't be that loose. That Allen key should obviously be nipped up. Now I will go into it in another video, but some of these systems have what they call a mercury switch, which can be wired into the fire alarm system. Now in the event of a fire that drops, the mercury runs and makes a contact and can in effect set the fire alarm off if it's wired into that system. So hence, it's my habit, I do it this way and remove that. That way everything stays in the correct position. You can do it while the mercury switch is all on. Ideally you want to isolate the fire alarm, but in reality that ain't always possible. If you're not confident doing that, don't touch it, let someone like myself come along. But now what I find the easiest thing to do on this particular one, get yourself a 22mm spanner and just simulate the valve. So all you're wanting to do is turn the valve so this in effect closes it and this opens it, and just do this a couple of times. Just works all the grease around and ensures that it's all moving, because they do seize up, and that's probably the biggest thing. I've seen them, I've gone to sites where the weight and the cable's all dropped but the valve hasn't moved. It's just sheer lack of maintenance. Tighten it all up, obviously make sure, do your checks again that everything is all in the correct position, and that should be good for another year. Really is quite simple. It's something that does get overlooked. People tend to just visually check it, yeah it's got one, tick the box. But please guys, get some grease and jobs are good one. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Hope it helps. Thanks very much.